Hello, this is going to be a really quick lecture on the concept of the sublime. The sublime really comes out of a philosopher called Edmund Burke's work called A Philosophical Inquiry into the Origin of Our Ideas of the Sublime and the Beautiful. And this is aesthetic philosophy. So thinking about why things are sublime, why are they beautiful? How do we understand these things? And the sublime was a really important concept for literature at the end of the 18th century and the 19th century. Burke will say that the sublime is the strongest emotion which the mind is capable of feeling because it essentially kind of stops all other mental processes. Burke identifies the sublime as a passion, as one of the passions, and he basically will talk about it in terms of it's basically like astonishment. It's when you are so filled with awe and astonishment that you can't really think about other things. He is also going to talk about the sublime as a combination of terror and delight. So it's at once delightful and also terrifying. And the most important way that you know it's the sublime is that your mind can't reason. So basically, I think a really good analog for us would be the concept of having like something basically blow your mind and you really can't think about it. Like you're astonished, you are in awe. In the 19th century, a lot of people used this mountain in Switzerland called Mont Blanc as an example of something sublime. It's one of the highest points in Europe. So, if you think of it like a majestic, beautiful mountain, but it's also kind of terrifying in that it's so tall and so big, but it's also beautiful, this is a really good example of sublime. A lot of our really good examples of the sublime come from nature. Another example, and like Burke will talk about the sublime and the beautiful is definitely not sublime. A kitten or even a cat could be beautiful. But think about a tiger. A tiger is gorgeous, it is beautiful, but it is more than beautiful. It is also terrifying. Think about what it would be like to see a tiger in real life without, the zoo caging it. That would be amazing, and it would also, I think, be incredibly terrifying. That's the sublime. Like, if you were going on a trip and you were walking around in a jungle and you're like, oh my gosh, I think that's a tiger, you would probably be scared, but also in some ways maybe delighted. Like, they are beautiful, beautiful creatures. Gorgeous, but you might be filled with awe and astonishment. Other examples, like the first time if you've ever seen the ocean, this can always be a good example of the sublime. Mountains, the vastness of space. They don't always have to be natural examples, though. I have an example of the sublime from my own personal experience. I can say that when I went to Rome and I went to the Colosseum, it was a moment that was really sublime to stand there where people have stood for thousands of years, Romans, gladiators, Christians, lions, all of those people. That building has been there that long and seen that history, and I was standing there too and a part of it, and it kind of like makes you feel small in a particular way, but it's also really big. It was really just kind of amazing. It basically blew my mind. It was a very sublime experience. So the sublime does not always have to be natural, but it is something that would inspire at the same time terror and delight. So think about those, and we will talk more about the sublime soon.